It's time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? It's your boy Dave in the 702 coming at you with a Monday night recap known as the Shoe Shine, where we get together to talk about all the best things in the sport of boxing. Philly Irish, True Evo. I wish it wasn't Monday Night Football. What's that say?
Patties for Pam. For Bam.
Guys, we're sorry we're starting so late at 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Those of you joining us on the replay, make sure you drop us a comment. Appreciate you. But Drew's up. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast, and the Philadelphia Eagles just played Monday Night Football. You guys haven't been keeping up, man. We do a Wednesday night show where we recap football, and I've been having a great time doing that with Drew. Drew, next Monday night could end up being a late start just like this one, because the San Francisco 49ers play, to me, the top team in the AFC, which could potentially be a Super Bowl preview of what's going to go down right here in February in Las Vegas, with the Ravens being at the top of the AFC. We could be. Is it Monday night? Is Christmas?
Yeah.
Get the F. Oh, well, we're not doing the Shoe Shine next Monday. We're going to have to move it. And then I got my parents coming in out of town on Tuesday. And then oh, damn. I didn't even think about that. What is patties for Bab? Irish guys for Bab? Is that what a patty is? Shout out to everybody joining us. I know it's really late. You count on Profit Packable. I appreciate Ryan was in here just a few minutes ago. So maybe I will wait, because Drew, I got a really nice care package from a good friend of our show, a great columnist, writer, Lukey Boxing, sent me a few of the copies for a Christmas giveaway. And as soon as I get a few more people in here, I'm going to be doing the trivia question. And I want to send out a couple of these books. So I will be doing a trivia in just a little bit. It has to do with Sergio Martinez. So start getting some of your favorite facts in your head about Sergio Martinez, because as we get a few more people up in here, I'll be doing that giveaway, right? So, hey, anyways, an exhilarating end to 2023 developing in the sport of boxing, Drew. I saw some highlight KOs this weekend. Let's see, who's that? Walk with Sierra. I thought she was doing a live stream right now, Miss Walk with Sierra, but glad to have you. Thank you so much for being in here. Drew, are you reading the chat? Or are you reading the Eagles forum? What's going on?
I don't want to talk about it no more.
All right.
I'm pissed off at this fucking team. I'm about to fucking punch something.
All right. Well, let me take this call real quick, as we get started on our post-fight recap of the great weekend real quick. Hey, you're on with the Shoe Shine. Let's see. Oh, I didn't take the call. I'm not at the top of my game, Drew. I'm not at the top of my game. You're on with the Shoe Shine.
It's Lukey.
Lukey, what's popping? Lukey, thank you so much. Dave, I have to be on code tonight, whatever that means. Lukey, thanks a lot for being the first caller tonight on the Shoe Shine. I was just mentioning that you sent me your awesome books, and I do have a trivia.
And I owe you 3 more.
You don't owe me any. I owe you money. So no. Should I do the trivia now? All right, guys. This weekend we saw a couple of highlight KOs that could
Are
potentially
we doing Sergio Martinez trivia? Because I got a question for Sergio Martinez. If we're doing Sergio Martinez, you want me?
Okay, let's do two. Because I have 2 books to give away tonight. 2 books. I'll do the first one for whoever's joining us tonight. The first one is, in which match did Sergio Martinez have KO of the year against Paul Williams? They fought twice. In which one did he have that KO of the year?
Can I answer it too?
No, you can't. In what city and on which television network? That's right. You've got to get all 3 right to get this copy from Lukey right here. Okay, Sergio Martinez knocked out Paul Williams in which fight, on what television network, and in what city? Lukey, what's up? What's up, homeboy?
Well, my question is, but now I got to verify it. My question would be for anybody that wants to, and this could be wrong, didn't Sergio Martinez lose his world title because HBO wouldn't pick up his fight? His mandatory title defense? I don't want to say the name of the fighter, but I remember distinctly he either lost a fight or made a mandatory world title defense against a fighter that wasn't picked up by HBO. And if you can remember who that fighter is that he fought.
That's a great question, because I'm stumped on that. I'm stumped on that one. And you know what? Yes, go ahead, Lukey.
Well, I'm trying to make sure if it's factually accurate. I just remember I'm becoming an old man in this shit, so I come up with questions that aren't all that fascinating. Sexy Sergio. Let me just, I'm coming up with this. Yeah, he defended the WBO title, but to the best of my memory, the fight was not picked up by HBO Boxing during that time. So he made a mandatory world title defense off television as a notable world champion. Who was that fight in the midst of his run in the early 2010s?
Wow, even I'm stumped on that one, guys. Who's going to get the first? Any of these is eligible for a prize right now. What is going on with Drew? Drew, remember that song from NXS where the guy just kept writing on signs in that song? Anybody know that song? Lukey, you bring up something very interesting on that Sergio Martinez one, because I wanted to start off the show with, which was this Jake Paul fight on Friday night. I don't like to talk too much about Jake Paul, but something interesting is happening in the cruiserweight division, a division that Jake Paul claims he's going for a championship run. And now I think, he had a sensational knockout, the first one of the weekend. It was a highlight KO, an uppercut I've never seen in his arsenal from the former YouTube star, now professional boxer. I'll start with both of you guys, because the cruiserweight that I watched, is it Jai Opataya from Australia, the Samoan, has just been stripped of his IBF title for this weekend. That's the news that I read. He was stripped because he refused to fight Brady's that he won the belt from.
He's stripped. I'll pick you up on this one. He was stripped because he's fighting on the Day of Reckoning, which is this Saturday in Saudi Arabia. And because he's competing in this fight card, the IBF is stripping him, because the IBF always has these mandatories against fighters we don't care about seeing that are very unprofitable fights. That's what the IBF is known for. They did it, and now they're stripping him because the IBF has a long history of this. They stripped Tyson Fury like a month after beating Klitschko. They just stripped Crawford. They're a very unlikable sanctioning body to a certain degree. Most sanctioning bodies are, but I feel like the IBF has a special place of being pretty unlikable up there with the WBA. So that's the situation.
They also recently gave Drew's Philly guy Ennis the IBF title without fighting for it.
And here's the thing.
But that's well deserved.
And here's the thing.
Honestly,
Bradis, the mandatory from Okatai, was willing to step aside.
He did. There was a step aside, and he's actually not fully healthy even. He's not ready to fight. And in the defense of the current champion who just relinquished his title, he said, "Hey, I gotta stay busy. I gotta fight. This is my biggest payday in my life. I guess I'll just have to do without that IBF title." So, where does a guy like Jake Paul fit into the equation, coming off with these sensational knockouts of a guy who he claimed, "Hey, I'm fighting a real boxer now, fighting real boxers."
It was fixed.
And the guy hasn't fought more than once in 4 years. And to be honest, he looked like a middleweight on Friday night in the ring with Jake Paul. He looked like a middleweight to me, but barely a light heavyweight. Did you guys notice the size discrepancy in there?
Well, I mean, but there's always going to be a size difference with Jake Paul opponents. He's always going to be the bigger man. He's always going to have advantages. And he's more than likely going to win a vacant world title against a hand-selected smaller opponent. And I still don't understand how this shocks people, because boxing is run on money. So fighters that make money get more opportunities and often win world titles. Fighters that don't make money get less opportunities. Paul makes money. These sanctioning bodies are looking at the amount of money he makes, and they know that they could make revenue off of sanctioning his fights. At some point, he's going to be in the running to win a world title, and he's going to be fighting, like, say, a Keith Thurman, who moves from welterweight all the way up to 200 pounds. Like, this is the type of scenario we're looking at. Seriously.
Keith Thurman moving up to cruiserweight. By the way,
that's what it'll be. Yeah, it'll be something like that.
Drew, I have blown through the cruiserweight. I didn't think this was going to happen this year, moving to Las Vegas. Like,
it's a terrible division. It's not worth watching. There's a reason why networks don't buy these fights. It's not a good division.
You know, your camera goes out of focus when you put that up, Drew. That one I can't read. It's either that or I'm going to need a drink. I think most Philly Eagles fans are out there right now drinking. You're in the same boat with all the Eagles. Lukey, I am struggling with my weight. This is a personal issue here. Speaking of cruiserweights, I've moved to the city of sin, and all I've done is eaten for the entire year. And I've blown through the cruiserweight limit at a career high heaviest of 209 pounds today. I don't even want to see a scale until next year. 209 pounds, guys. I'm only 5'11". What a fucking pig. All right. Anyways, we're talking about the cruiserweight divisions. Is Jake Paul just a prospect, guys? Let me know. Is Jake Paul just a prospect? He's now got less than 10 career fights. And I miss you, Vito. Okay, well, whatever that means. Lukey, is he on the career? Is he now on the proper career trajectory, like a traditional, normal career path for a boxer? Now he's fighting real boxers with on paper seems like a decent record. He doing the right things now? Lukey, you still there?
Wait, is this Uncle Lukey? Is this an Uncle Luke question? Okay.
Yeah. Is Jake Paul doing the right thing now? Are they moving him along properly?
Nothing about his career is going to be normal. He's rich, he's wealthy, and he's trying to create a legacy in boxing, but it's not going to be a hard road. It's going to be an interesting road that brings viewers, and it's going to be a road that's advantageous to him. He's got one of the smartest people in boxing working for his company, and Mike Lenardi, who's extremely, extremely smart, one of the brightest minds in boxing. He's got really, really smart people around him. Paul is going to take fights where he has every advantage, and that it's going to create some form of a narrative and interest. That's what his career is going to be. I think that a lot of times people look at him and want to compare him to Evander Holyfield or Usyk and think that I'm just an idiot when I say he's going to be a world champion. He will be a world champion, and he'll never be Evander Holyfield and Usyk. He's going to make a ton of money. And boxing is extremely irrelevant right now. It's basically a dying sport. It's leaving networks. We're struggling to be relevant. And Jake Paul is someone that can get you network dates, can get people excited, bring attention to the sport in a more mainstream fashion. And networks and sanctioning bodies are going to want to align with him. So because of that, he's just going to take fights that greatly benefit him. He's talking about legacy, but this fight was a great opportunity for him to beat a boxer. Now there's a guy where I live, Mike Russell. He's had probably about a 5-year layoff. He's coming back. He has some more athletic gifts, bigger guy. That would be a good next step if he's trying to do this. He could fight Jorge Masvidal. He could fight me for all I want if he pays me $2 million. But he's just going to fight people that makes money, and he's going to eventually kind of find himself in a world title spot. And I hate to break it to boxing fans, this is going to be more of what's happening. So people that are looking at this and are thinking that it's bad, you're going to be looking older and older as we go into this new decade. Like, this is going to be more what's happening, and people that don't kind of understand these things, I think, are going to get phased out of the sport, because you don't think the Jake Paul influence is going to rub off on kids trying to go to Team USA boxing, that they're going to grow up on the content he created, or young fighters or young promoters.
Oh yeah,
this
most
is going to
definitely
have an everlasting it's going to evolve the sport in one way or another.
Yeah, I can think of Bob Santos and his son, who personally signed this kid, an influencer, Ochoa, who's now fighting out of Las Vegas, and he's taken that influencer route. He just fought last week. Shout out to him, to Ochoa. He's taken that influencer route to professional boxing, which a lot of these guys could transition out of influencer boxing leagues right into professional leagues. Drew, if the IBF belt is up for grabs, if Jake Paul was to get a shot at that IBF vacant strap against, say, Brady's, a great fighter whose only loss that I can recall is to Usyk, other losses to Usyk for a cruiserweight unification. How would that end for Jake Paul against Brady's for a vacant IBF title?
Brady's knocks him out brutally and ends this dude's career, and I have a drink and be happy with it. And call it a fucking night.
Yeah, well, shout out to my boy Nando. Rick Glaser saying that Tank is unhappy with the PBC's financial offer for his next fight. And that is a hot topic that I don't even think we have time for that today, man. That is a hot topic, of course, the $20 million offer that's going around here. Let's segue into Showtime PBC right now, as Nando brings up a great point. The last Showtime card ever. I thought I went to it with David Benavidez a few weeks back, but no. The card started off with, and you know what? Thank you for all the great years of boxing, Bay Area boxing champion Robert Guerrero, the ghost from Gilroy Strong. Thank you so much. But he's talking crazy. Can I be rude
and just bring up one thing?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Be rude.
Be rude. Jake Paul also fought this weekend, and it coincided with the WBA convention. Like, it was in the same place and basically the same venue. Do you think that's a coincidence? I just want to throw that out there for people. Like, these sanctioning bodies are basically having conventions when Jake Paul is fighting.
Is that the one where there was spit? Somebody was spit on?
That's the one where Elvis, like someone related to Elvis Grant, allegedly spit on Sampson, and Bernard Hopkins got very angry, and it was on my Twitter feed, and it really looked like a lot of stuff that didn't need to happen.
Oh no, I totally agree. Did you saw that?
Yeah, I did see that.
That's disgusting.
Oh man.
So the WBA is also responsible for such shenanigans as Rolando Romero ending up as the 140-pound champion. So wow, what a coincidence, huh? You think you're pointing in the direction of the WBA giving Jake Paul eventually his first title shot opportunity?
I think every sanctioning body is eagerly awaiting the opportunity. I wouldn't be like to do business with Jake Paul. I think it's now the WBA is making a Bridgerweight belt. Bridgerweight is like an oddly not occupied division. It wouldn't be hard for Jake Paul to fight someone in a WBA Bridgerweight belt fight. It's an unestablished division. He can become a world champion. From there, he could try to unify the Bridgerweight titles, because he could be an undisputed Bridgerweight champion. I mean, there's a lot of different ways, but those sanctioning bodies want the money from the purses of these fights. Jake Paul is one of the 6th or 7th highest grossing event at the very least in the year. And these sanctioning bodies want to be involved in those type of fights.
There is no way in hell these sanctioning bodies are going to be able to justify giving somebody outside the top 15 a title match, or let alone the top 10. Remember when Danny Garcia was going to defend against Robert Suka, whatever his name is. He wasn't even in the rank in the top 15, and they wouldn't sanction it. Jake Paul, in order to be ranked inside the top 15 at least, he would have to fight at least 5 or 6 guys in the top 15 and beat them in order to at least get a top 15 ranking. To get a top 10, he'll have to beat a couple of top 5. He'll have to beat a couple of top 10 guys to get a top 10 ranking. And one of them has to be a top 5 guy to get in the top 10.
He can't be anybody in the top 5. I think he's going to take 2 fights.
Happen.
I think he's winning 2 fights against people barely ranked in the 15, and he gets a title shot. But
he doesn't beat nobody ranked inside the top 20, Dave. And I'll put $50
you
on
gonna
right
put
now.
money on that, Jake Paul? You
15.
hearing that? You hearing the shoe shine, Jake Paul?
But I'm gonna say this right now. I gotta say this because it's on my mind, and I had to say the first thing that's on my mind always, because I wouldn't be myself if I did it. Boxing is dying, and it all started with Floyd Mayweather. The way that he booked his fights, the way that he did not want to take the dangerous fights. He did not want to take the guys in their prime. He did not want to ever go for undisputed. He took guys that were done, basically done, exposed, beaten, and everything. And that's what Floyd did at the middle and end of his career. Manny Pacquiao, we could have had that fight 5 years before it happened. Manny Pacquiao's dominant. What happened 5 years later? Knocked out by Marquez. You decided to fight him later. You won that fight, and then Andre Bodo exposed, lost to a couple of nobodies, got his ass kicked by fucking the guy that crits all the time, Victor Ortiz, and everything. Made that easy. And then out of nowhere, you got a 50th professional win against somebody making the pro boxing debut that's not even ranked, and everything. And then it goes to burned off on Tank Davis. Tank Davis has yet to fight a legitimate threat, has yet to fight a legitimate top 135 pounder, has legitimately did not fight a top 140 pounder, and then everybody he brings up in weight, 126, 130. And then when he goes to fight Ryan Garcia, knowing how bad of a fucking fighter he is, yes, Dave, the week that bet's over if I can fucking diss him all the fuck I want now. By the way.
That's 136 catch weight, by the way.
136 catch weight with a fucking rehydration clause. And then when he gets off for $20 million to fight Devin Haney, he doesn't want to do it. And I understand you want to reject the first offer because you think you can get more money. I understand that. But in order for that fight to happen, Tank wants to exercise his A side. He wants to say, I'm the A side. But no. Not happening, because if anybody looks at it, Devin Haney's pay-per-view did $300K with Reese's program. Other than Ryan Garcia, that's more than any of Tank's pay-per-views. So what makes the A side here? Devin's got a point to be the A side.
Did he really do 300Ks, Lukey? I haven't heard that. I thought it was.
I heard that by a couple of people telling me 300K. So I'm looking at it like
pretty good for Devin.
It's
Haney.
A 50-50 split, and Tank's not getting rehydration clause. You fought at 140 against Barrios for a Reggie title without a rehydration clause, dude.
Yeah, 140 at that
and
Reggie
you
title.
Can fucking fight Devin the Dream Haney at 140 without a rehydration clause. But you want to know why Tank has not fought anybody? Why he ducked Lomachenko? Why he ducked Devin Haney? Why he ducked Teofimo Lopez and everything? Because Tank is not confident in himself. Tank does not have the confidence that he can beat these guys. Because Tank has grown humble to that $1.5 million minimum purse, fighting nobodies and everything. And you want to know what fuels that more? The stupid, idiotic boxing fans that we have today that fucking make excuses, that want to have excuses, put them on a pound-for-pound list. You know what I say to those fans? Fuck you all. You are the main reason why you guys, this sport is fucking dead as it is right now.
You hear what a warm Christmas wish from Philly Irish Strevo.
And this too, at the end of the day, patties for Bam.
All right. Well, I was going to talk about Robert the Ghost Guerrero. In fact, Ryan goes, "Why? What the hell is he smoking?" He's calling out your boy Boots Ennis. He was included in the Showtime's last card, and I want to thank him and his dad for all the great years, and Team Bob Santos for all the great years. But yes, you want to fight against Andre Berto. Yes, both of you are 40 years old, but the thought of you in the ring with Boots Ennis, you have a beautiful family. Please stay away from that guy. And Lukey, do you think it's crazy? Will they use him as an opponent? Yes, he picked up a win. Will PBC do something like that? Use him as an opponent for, say, somebody coming up the ranks at 147? A gatekeeper, essentially. Does he want to be relegated to that?
I mean, that's where, as fans of the sports and possibly guardians of the sports, keep in mind, I'm the farthest thing from a boxing fan anymore. I'm a boxing observer, and I enjoy boxing. But a lot of times I jump on these shows and I just don't have passionate opinions anymore because I've been beaten down by the game. Mm-hmm. So, I wish I had the passion to care, but I just expect the worst because I've been in boxing for about 20 years now. Hope Robert doesn't turn into a guy that just gets in hard fights with really talented fighters who are a lot younger than him, because that's sad. And there's decent matchups for Boots right now. There's Mario Barrios. There's other guys out there. I get why Robert probably wants to do it, but there's guys. There's always young guys, right? There's always young guys, and I get why Robert would say it, because first off, he's a fighter. He wants to test himself. Second off, the paycheck is probably awesome. If I saw that paycheck, I'd probably be like, maybe I could get knocked out in one round, because I could do a lot of cool stuff with the money. But I think the problem is you gotta, as people who love the sport, as people who care about the sport, you kind of have to be like, hey, Robert, if you're going to come back, fight a cool old guy fight. Fight Danny Garcia. Fight the guys in your contemporary. Fight Keith Thurman again. Keith's a retired fighter. He doesn't fight. Fight those type of guys. But Boots, it's a highly motivated, but I mean, it's just, he needs to fight the washed up guys. If Robert's fighting, he needs to fight the Bertos. If Jesse Vargas wants to come back, he can fight him, Keith Thurman,
Jesse Vargas.
Danny Garcia.
I just saw Jesse Vargas. You're right. I just saw him in a suit the other day at the David Benavidez fight. And you're right. I think he ran for Congress. That he came up short there, but that's a name you could bring back. Most definitely bring back.
I mean, that's the type of guys that I want to see Robert Guerrero in. I don't want to see him in with a guy that's in his 20s or early 30s at this point, because he just had a very hard career. And I don't, even if he wants it, as a fan, it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're talking about moving on to Rayo Valenzuela against Colbert, who was brought up from 130, and it didn't go well for him earlier this year at that David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant, and they themselves had a rematch, one which Rayo wanted to leave he wanted to leave nothing up to the judges. And today's question, the trivia question I have, guys, is one of my favorite fighters, Sergio Martinez. We're giving away one of Lukey's books today. I'll be shipping it out personally to you. So I was asking you guys, and I'll ask it again. Which fight did Sergio Martinez knock out Paul Williams? Was it 1 or 2? What city? And on which boxing promotion channel? Which channel was that broadcast on? So
first, I'm going to be honest. First of all, that Showtime card was a fucking disgrace. the last fucking card ever, and you have 2 fucking retarded motherfuckers come back and fight on it. Seriously. I don't understand that shit. Seriously.
Yeah, there's a lot of people up in arms, including Paulie Malignaggi, and Chris Algieri pointed out that they could have better spent that money with some of their younger prospects that are on the verge of doing great things. But this rematch for Rayo puts him in a position, being at PBC and Showtime, where he's calling out, with this dominant performance, he's calling out Tank. He knows Tank doesn't want to fight Devin Haney. And he's up for grabs. But remember, guys, El Rayo was stopped by De Los Santos, who looked absolutely horrible against Shakur Stevenson just weeks ago. Is El Rayo ready for for Tank? Is he ready? Is he that kind of fighter, or is he tailor-made, as Nando pointed out, tailor-made to get knocked out by Tank? Lukey, you still with me? I can see why El Rayo's pursuing a fight with Tank. I can see it. I can see why he's chasing that fight. There's a lot of money to be made there. Mean,
that's all that when you call it Tank, for the most part, most of these guys are doing it because they want to basically set up the rest of their life. Rayo's an entertaining fighter. He's a banger. But I mean, to me, Tank's one of the best fighters, but as Drew brought up, he's a problematic fighter because it's like every single fighter that he's beaten, he's had some physical or technical advantage over. Valenzuela's coming off a good win, but still, that would be a fight where Gervonta Davis would have a lot of advantages leading into that fight. So that would be, we're basically only getting 2 Tank fights a year, and we're hoping to get one that's exciting. And that fight could be action-packed to a certain degree, but I think that Tank is almost 30 years old. And it's getting to the point where we have to hold him to a higher standard because he's so relevant and so moves the needle so much. We need better fights from him, to be quite honest. We need better fights at this point in his career. And I don't care how much money he makes. LeBron James makes a lot of money and he still plays the best players in the NBA. So that doesn't cut it anymore. So to me, the fact that got brought up, Tank versus Valenzuela, is so scary to me because it's such no disrespect to Rayo. Rayo's a great fighter if he gets the opportunity. It's a great fight for Rayo. But you just think about all the names, the interesting names. You got Frank Martin versus Gervonta Davis. That's an interesting fight. You got Shakur. You got Devin Haney. I don't want to hear about, we can't cross promote. Boxing is dying.
Mm-hmm.
Boxing is so freaking irrelevant. It's so irrelevant. It's just a bunch of men on the internet and a couple of women talking about the sport that's doing anything to bring awareness to it. The creativity around distributing the sport is at an all-time low. The enthusiasm and trust for the sport is at an all-time low. And most fans believe that they shouldn't get the best fights because they've been taught over the last decade that you have to look at escrow and pie charts and statistical analysis and make things wait 4 years and watch your kid go to high school and graduate, and then you get the fight you want. So we have a fan base that's been beaten down, abused, and somehow stuck with us. And I personally am just tired of being the consumer, yet as a consumer, I'm not being listened to. It's the only business in the world, which is why it's politics. Whoever said boxing is a business is an idiot. It's not a business because business means the customer is always right. Boxing is you have to politically align with certain agendas to fit in with sub-circles. If you do not politically align with what we as a promoter, we as a boxing fan group think, then we're going to ostracize you. We don't even care if you make sense. That is boxing right now. It's division and it's politics.
Shout out to everybody riding with the shoe shine right now. I don't know what happened to Drew. Thank you for that well-made point, Lukey. I think it's all but certain that they're going to sell us this fight now. He's calling for it. Rayo Valenzuela is calling for it. He's a big puncher. He's a power puncher. He's got a nice highlight KO reel. And this negotiation with Devin Haney looks like it's going to completely fall apart. And we're going to get sold like our boy Nando says here. What did he say here? This was great. Nando made a point about that. PBC has a pattern of setting up Mexican-American fighters to fight Tank Davis. They seem to. We saw them do that with that other smaller Mexican fighter, Pitbull Cruz. And also, we saw how it ended for Raleigh Rolando Romero when he fought Tank, a big power puncher himself. He ended up falling face first, too, which is something I think probably would happen to Rayo Valenzuela, considering De Los Santos was able to stop him. Drew, a power puncher like Rayo against Tank Davis, tailor-made to get knocked out face first himself?
Tank's going to get knocked. Rayo's going to get knocked out That's the type of fighters Tank fights. He went, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even want to talk about Tank Davis no more. Seriously, I'm tired of wasting my time on my life, the hours and minutes of my life, talking about a fighter that doesn't give a fuck about legacy and fight the best fights in the world and everything.
Damn, that's some strong words. So let's move on to David Morrell, the other man of the hour, because David Morrell ends 2023 with another highlight KO against Agbeko. In my opinion, kind of a journeyman type fighter with a decent amount of professional fights, but no notable wins, in my opinion. Although incredibly athletic and whatnot, Drew pulls off another stunning knockout. Look, he's got 10 professional fights. How does he get the attention of David Benavidez? He's got the attention of David Benavidez. How does he get him in the ring with him? Because he's not calling out Canelo anymore. Now he's just saying, okay, this is a PBC guy. David Benavidez is a star in his own right now. He's had these pay-per-views now in Las Vegas, 2 of them in 1 year. He wants that fight. How does he get those fights, man? Because it's way too high risk and low reward.
Let's be honest. And I think we all need to be honest. David Benavidez wants no part of David Morrell. I hear people say David Morrell doesn't have enough fights. David Morrell, he's going to fight someone. Well, here's the take this. He's fought all his wins against top guys, the top 50 guys, number 1. Number 2, 9 out of fucking 10 fights have ended in KOs. Number 3, are you really going to use the fucking how many fights he had? Let's put this out there. I'm gonna give motherfuckers an education a little bit because we got a lot of dumb low IQ motherfuckers when it comes to talking boxing. Yes, I'm in real form tonight because I'm really am getting pissed off because I gotta fucking deal with motherfuckers talking about football. They don't know shit about football, and I gotta talk about motherfuckers that don't know shit about boxing. So here's an education. Lomachenko won a title in his 3rd professional fight. Sunimov, a guy that was light heavyweight champion, won a fucking light heavyweight championship in his 7th professional fight. So I want somebody to fucking tell me why he didn't fight all those people. He didn't get enough fights. Somebody tell me.
Drew had to take a call. Hey, Lukey, you're here with me, right?
Yeah, I'm just muting my phone, so I'm not a rude person.
Lukey, I was wondering, we talked about the WBA. How in the world does the WBA force Canelo Alvarez to fight David Morrell, who has the minor belt or the regular belt?
They don't. Quite simply, they don't. And here's the problem. There's the problem with David Morrell, right? I think a lot of us think David Morrell might be the best guy in the division. There's a feeling that he might be one of these really, really special fighters. And there's not a huge reward to beating him, right? Because he's an unestablished fighter. So how do you fix that? You have to overpay people to fight him because he's a high-risk, low-reward fighter. Who was that before? That was David Benavidez. David Benavidez just recently got out of this position of being a guy who everyone was like, this guy's pretty good. Maybe he's beatable, but I'd rather not roll the dice and take a chance on him. Let's see what I can do. Now, I get there's always going to be frustration when like a guy like Morrell emerges. I think he's the breakout star of next year. I wrote an article coming out this week about my number 1 breakout star, but like when you look at a guy like Benavidez, I don't think Benavidez is avoiding him. I think Benavidez literally will fight anyone. I think Benavidez, if he can't get a Canelo fight, I truly believe he'll probably make that fight. But I think that Benavidez is sitting looking at, I could be the face of Mexican boxing if I beat Canelo, and I think he truly believes he would at this point. So I think that the tough part about Morrell is he's the 3rd best fighter in a 2-man division. So he's the guy that has to convince Caleb Plant to not fight Jermall Charlo. He's the guy that has to go and fight Christian Mbili, Vladimir Shishkin, Eric Bosnian, guys that nobody really even care about, but they're ranked in the top 5, top 6, maybe Diego Pacheco, someone like that if they're willing to fight. This is what Morrell has to do is he has to eliminate guys with good records by overpaying them and possibly taking less money to force these top fighters to realize there aren't many options for you. That's what Morrell has to spend 2020. I'd like to see him fight 3 to 4 times and eliminate some of these contenders. I think he can beat Vladimir Shishkin. I think he can beat Eric Bosnian. I think he can beat Christian Mbili. Those should be 3 very makeable fights.
Does he beat somebody
because
like...
if any of those,
Does he beat the guy you just brought up, Diego Pacheco, who I think Diego Pacheco has about the same amount of fights. He's a contender now, in my opinion, over there at DAZN. He's a sparring partner of David Benavidez or a stablemate of David Benavidez. He's also got incredible height and reach. Well, that's a really dangerous fight, and one that I wonder if Diego Pacheco's people would be willing to make for that WBA regular title. Well, that is a great fight. This
is the issue with Morrell, right? Is in the back of everybody's mind, because the rumor now is that Edgar Berlanga is fighting Patrick McCroy, and that's for the WBO super middleweight title that Canelo might be getting stripped of the WBO title. So Berlanga might be fighting for the vacant title. So now if you look and you go, okay, there's a belt with Canelo, I'm not going to get it. Here's this guy Morrell, he might be the real deal. And then you got the winner of Berlanga McCroy. Any competent and rational manager is going to go, okay, let's target the Berlanga McCroy winner, because that's the best opportunity for us currently in terms of probably a big name fighter and the opportunity to win. And that's basically Morrell's career in a nutshell. Is fantastic fighter, but he has to just continue to have these performances and put pressure on people. He's like I think he's a lot like Golovkin in the sense that he's extremely charismatic. Like, he knocks out Sena Ebeko, puts on the Santa cap right after the fight, wears the Santa cap to the post-fight interviews, calls out everybody in broken English. And I think he has an element of that Golovkin, where if you had this guy fight 4 times a year, it's probably going to be 4 knockouts.
Right.
And he's a little bit like an alpha male dick.
Broken English or not, I'm happy to hear him speak English. I had the opportunity, Drew, you remember our friend back in the day, Raw Boxing on YouTube?
Yeah.
Well, he had interviewed David Morrell, maybe his first or second fight, and I got on the channel. I got on that episode with him and spoke to David Morrell for extensive. I must have been on that for 10 minutes speaking with him in Spanish, and my Spanish is broken. And David Morrell, he was extremely charismatic. That's definitely like 2.5, close to 3 years back now. I'm rooting for David Morrell. The thought that the WBO is going to strip Canelo, that's some big news to me, Lukey, because essentially that means that Canelo's reign as undisputed is going to crack in 2024. Is that what you're hearing?
I'm not hearing anything. I'm just saying there's rumors of Canelo losing the belt in 2024, and there's rumors of Berlanga and McCroy fighting.
Berlanga?
I wouldn't be shocked.
Berlanga getting a crack at the WBO title first? Dang.
I mean, I think that there's a very real possibility that that's happening. But once again, let's go full circle with Jake Paul. We were talking about the sanctioning bodies, and you have to beat people and be relevant. I mean, Berlanga has just kind of stayed the course, made a lot of money, and now he's probably going to be in a title fight. So, I mean, yes, the sport matters and rankings, but if you make money magically, even if you don't really fight relevant fighters, suddenly good things happen, right? Suddenly good things happen. If you're a hardworking fighter, if you're David Morrell, yes, you have to beat 3 guys that are in the top 15. But if you're Edgar Berlanga and you fill up the Garden, well, you've been okay, but it sure would be great if you fought for this belt.
Drew, if Edgar
Berlanga...
I
don't know if that's true or not, but that's
right.
That's a rumor. But that's how boxing is, right?
Yeah.
It's not about who's the best. It's about which these organizations, these sanctioning bodies look at these champions as ambassadors more than champions. Who do they want coming to their conferences? Who do they want coming and representing their belt? Who do they want doing charitable events with them? That's a lot of what's going on here.
If Berlanga gets the WBO vacant strap, I would love to see
Which
Diego.
he's in a hard fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's a
by no
NIF, right?
means is that.
I would
It's
love
like a
to see
60-40. Berlanga's 60-40, yeah.
I would love to see Diego Pacheco get a crack at that WBO title that Berlanga wins, and then to see Diego Pacheco be the WBO title holder. Would he fight his stablemate David Benavidez? Would David Benavidez want that? That would be very interesting. That's a lot of ifs, but
I think that I think he'd move on. I think there's an unspoken gym mate rule that if because I think Benavidez only is staying at super middleweight because he's massive for a Canelo fight. If he can't get the Canelo fight, because I'm convinced, and no one's told me this, I think Canelo's going to fight Crawford in May and Munguia in September, and it's just going to be a big fat FU to the boxing fans.
Yeah.
I hope it's not, but I feel like it's just going to be a big middle finger that I'm rich as shit, and there's nothing you can do, and you're going to tune into my fights because I'm tight, and I'm just going to fight guys who I want, and I'm not going to give you that good fight on the way out because I don't want anyone making money. I don't want someone making their name off of my name. That's the feeling I'm getting. Now, if he doesn't do that, amazing. I'd love to be proven wrong. So, I mean, if we get an announcement of Crawford versus Canelo, right, I don't think I'd be shocked if Benavidez just goes to light heavyweight.
Which he should, to fight Bivol and Beterbiev. Drew?
If he doesn't fight David Benavidez in one of these next two fights, his legacy is going to be a little tampered because this is a legacy fight for Canelo Alvarez now. And people want to make excuses why it's not. Go ahead and make your excuses why it's not. But this is a legacy fight. He needs to fight David Benavidez. Because if he doesn't, this doesn't count as clearing out the super middleweight division. Because there was time, we look at it, David was a champion. And people got to look at this. If he doesn't fight Benavidez, this is going to have a tainted stain on his legacy that he ducked David Benavidez. And the thing about it is, I don't think he's going to duck David Benavidez. I hope he doesn't duck this fight because I think he wins the fight. But the longer he waits, the more of an advantage Benavidez has because this dude's been in so many wars already, been in so many fights and everything. And he's getting older now. He's getting injured. He's getting injured more often now in fights. His body's starting to break down on him. He's starting a little decline. But that little decline won't make nothing if he fights Benavidez in May because he'll beat Benavidez in May. But if it goes to September, it's more of a 50-50 fight. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to see no guy coming up again from a way lower weight class to fight Canelo Alvarez. I want to see him fight in his weight class or move up and fight Arthur Beterbiev or a rematch with Demetrius Bivol at 168 for all Canelo's belts.
Both great fights. Nando says Munguia and Berlanga are just bait for DAZN to bring back Canelo. PBC is still shaky. No cards until March at least. Tank is already bucking. I want to move on from that super middleweight conversation. I think David Morrell is set up to have a fantastic 2024. I listened to Pro Box today, Lukey, and Polly said he honestly doesn't think Canelo wants anything to do with either of those guys, David Benavidez or David Morrell, the two Davids. And you know what, Lukey and Drew? To be honest, thinking about what Polly said, I look at Canelo like, why would the boss want a bad day at the office? And I say that like he owns the company. He's earned the right. He's the owner. Why the fuck would he want a bad day at the office at this point in his career? He's the shot caller in the division. So I would love to see that fight materialize in 2024. We'll just have to wait and see if that David Benavidez fight happens. But essentially, I think he's the face of boxing. He's the boss, and he gets to call his own shots. He's earned that right. I still stand by that. let's move on to this discussion about this Bam Rodriguez fight, because Drew, I think you got a little bit of a hot seat. I don't see our friends on Teo Media in here today, who's close to the Robert Garcia, and I have no idea what this is about. But last Monday, Lukey, I didn't really want to give a prediction because I still thought I was favoring Bam Rodriguez's power. I was wondering about his poor performances recently. He had his jaw broken. He got out. He was getting boxed pretty well by this unknown Mexican fighter. But then again, he is the guy that beat two guys at 115 coming up in weight, two legendary fighters in Quadras and the Thai fighter Rung Sivai. I always get his name wrong, Drew. I always got to remember that. I wasn't willing to give my opinion last Monday. Drew was very emphatic that Sonny Edwards was going to outbox him and get the nod in the decision. And now Drew's holding up signs. Did you lose a bet? What happened? What are the signs about?
Because
you
gotta show some support, man.
All right, he's a fan. There you have it. Come back.
People gotta realize, man. And I'm giving, take it, come on now. I get really hate on for some reason, man. And I had it, I was talking to Nando. He had a 6'2" at the time. I had a 5'3", and people still got mad at me and emotional, saying I never give Bam a fair shake. I always hate on Bam. I never give him the credit. Like, seriously, is it worth that to get mad at me to do that? Seriously.
Yeah, honestly, the fight was pretty close early on. It was close early on.
Nando had a 6'2", 7'2", and he was coming at Nando too. Like, seriously,
interesting.
Guys, seriously, you need to stop. We need to really stop and everything. You have to accept people's opinions. Patty's for Bam.
Bam Rodriguez is exceptional at cutting off the ring and applying pressure, and he's extremely heavy-handed.
Like, seriously, guys.
And none of the shit talking. By the way, there was a lot of interesting shit talking that past week. Lukey, because you're a Bay Area guy, I was wondering if Sonny Edwards successfully was going to get into the head of Bam Rodriguez, he's got a soft demeanor. He's quiet. He's not a shit talker, but he said a lot of things about Snack that even Eddie Hearn in those press conferences, Snack, I'm talking about Victor Conti of the Bay Area, Snack Nutrition, behind Devin Haney and so many great Bay Area fighters. Man, I was wondering if Eddie Hearn was going to come to the defense, because Eddie Hearn's his biggest fighter is Devin Haney, and he's a Snack-trained athlete. I was wondering if he was going to get into the head of Bam, but it didn't turn out to be that way at all. Bam said, I'm going to leave it all in the ring on Saturday and show you, basically with my hands. Lukey, what are your thoughts about that those press conferences? Because Sonny Edwards can talk a good game.
I mean, he's just saying stuff. Like, everyone knows I'm down with Victor Conti, and Victor Conti, I believe, is down with me. And, like, obviously when you make mistakes in life, if someone fights someone that is affiliated with them, they're going to say a bunch of nasty things. And, I mean, that's why a lot of people choose not to make mistakes and choose not to make decisions he made in his life. And that's something he has to live with. Do I take it serious? No, because I know what I know, and I know that, that type of, if you come out of the serious endeavors he faced, I think the last thing you'd want to do is risk your freedom again. Like, that would be the silliest thing. I think people know, this is the thing with fans. A lot of times fans get passionate and emotional and like saying the mean stuff, but they don't think about it if they were in someone's shoes. The enormous risk that, if that were true, which it is not true in my opinion, that's an enormous risk. And it's very, very, it's very unhelpful when a boxer just kind of says things as fact that are so blatantly opinion-based. But that's enough on that, because that's not really all that interesting. Bam Rodriguez's performance made me love boxing again. Watching performances like that, I didn't score it round by round, because honestly, when I score round by round, sometimes I just don't enjoy a fight. I've stopped kind of scoring round by round over the last year and a half. I just watch a fight
and enjoy it.
I try to feel the temper of a fight. I try to pick up on the social aspects, right? The body language, the urgency. I try to be more alert, and I kind of have a sense of who's winning, but I'm not trying to score it like a judge. You know, you miss out on a lot of stuff if you're scoring like that. And what I saw in this fight was Sonny had some success at points, but it was a slow, gradual beatdown. I watched a guy in Bam Rodriguez systematically break him down, systematically use a reach advantage and athleticism, timing, strength, and just punish a guy. Just do whatever he wanted. And though Sonny at times might have a bit of success, he stood up. The key word I saw a lot of people talking about and what I thought about was Sonny's tough. Often when you say someone's tough, they got hit a lot. That's a compliment for getting hit a lot. Like, that's like if you go to a boxing gym, right?
That's a guy that we're not used to seeing get punished.
Well, and you go to a boxing gym and they say, well, what's this guy? Well, he could take a hell of a punch. Well, that's kind of an insult. It's a compliment, but it's also an insult. If they say, what does the guy do well in sparring? They say, well, he takes a hell of a punch. You know, you kind of know what the guy does when they give you that assessment, right? Because I've worked or been around a lot of fighters where I don't even know if they have a chin or not because in sparring they just didn't get hit clean enough. And then I've been around guys where they get that, and every day they're getting hit clean. So to me, it just was a levels fight. It felt like Bam has the potential of being a Hall of Fame fighter. Sonny feels like maybe he could backdoor the Hall of Fame, but he's just going to be a really good fighter of his era.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But see, we need these type of fights so we can actually have legends. Because if these type of fights don't happen, like what happened with guys like Keith Thurman, Leo Santa Cruz, we just got legacies that kind of were unfulfilled. So I think it's what I enjoyed about this was it was one of the 5 best performances I saw all year. It's up there with Crawford, Haney, all those Benavidez, all those great performances up there. It's up there with them. I don't think it's the best one, but it's up there. It's in the same category. And when these great fighters get in there with fellow great fighters, we see the greatness. And it's so vital we get these type of matchups.
Mm-hmm. Drew, I want to ask you, Julio Cesar Martinez went up from 112. He's the WBC champion. He went up to 115 and got his ass whooped. Bam Rodriguez goes up to 115 and beats 2 of the legends at 115 pounds. That being said, there's a path to Sonny Edwards still becoming a world champion. He proved this Saturday in the U.S. that he has the heart of the champion. I could see him potentially beating Julio Cesar Martinez if he had a shot at that belt. Does he become a world champion again? Sonny Edwards?
Yeah, because he does beat Julio Cesar Martinez, but he's not going to be fighting him next. Bam's going to fight him next because even as the fight will be, hey, they're trying to make the Estrada fight, but I don't think that fight gets made. I think the fight will be Martinez, and Martinez gets destroyed by him because Martinez is not really that good.
Right, but we saw him get destroyed at 115. Of course, I want to see Bam unify one more title, the WBC. That fight makes the most sense, but they're really pushing a Juan Francisco Estrada fight at 115 or a legend in Chocolatito that a lot of people would like to see that.
I'll be honest, Dave. I'll be honest right now, Dave. Those 2 fights right there, I would actually give the advantage to both Chocolatito and Estrada.
Interesting.
Over Bam. Slightly over Bam.
Shout out to my friend Sarah H. Sorry, Drew. I just want to give shout out to my friend Sarah. Thank you for joining us, Sarah H. over at Urban AC. Hello, Sarah. I think
Chocolatito's volume could be a problem for Bam eventually.
They're going to say you're hating on Bam again. You're going to have to make all new sides.
Yeah, I'm hating on Bam again.
No, it's cool. No, it's honestly,
but you know
those
what,
are legends. But I didn't think he'd get past those prior legends, and he did.
I'm gonna be honest. At this point, fuck them. I don't give a fuck. They don't like what I say. Never did. Never will.
Of course, you got to be able to express You got to be able to express your opinion.
Because
those aren't easy fights. Especially Juan Francisco Estrada thinks he could beat Bam.
If people want to come on and get emotional with me and everything about their favorite fighter and everything, it's just like that. And like if you can't take someone criticizing your favorite fighter and everything, then maybe you shouldn't be listening to, this goes for everybody, man. I think people need to realize something. If you can't really take your favorite fighter getting negative criticism, man, don't watch YouTube boxing or don't go on fucking Twitter and fucking look at fucking boxing.
We talked about the WBA a lot today. Lukey, why is this fight against Artem Dalakian not being in the conversation? If we're gonna have Bam stay at 112, I would like to see him become undisputed at that weight class and just get that fight.
And that's the thing. Nando puts a good point there. Even one of those guys beats Bam, it doesn't fuck his career up.
Nah, he can clean out the division. He could absolutely clean out the flyweight division next year. If that's the path he wants to go, I'm all for it. If he wants to move up to 115, I'm all for those two mega fights against Chocolatito while Chocolatito's still able to fight. I mean, he's at the tail end of his career. And ultimately, I said this at the beginning of when we saw him emerge as a superstar and beat those two guys at 115. There's no way he can't fight at 118, and he will. At 23 years old, he's absolutely going to be a bantamweight and potentially be a bantamweight champion. I favor him tomorrow. I favor him over Jason Maloney. The IBF is vacant at 118 because Inoue gave up that belt. Those are two belts I think he could snatch as far as 118. And then, really, Lukey, am I crazy for thinking I could see Bam Rodriguez versus Inoue before the end of both of their careers? Hold on, Drew. Lukey, you still with us? Well, I think we finally lost Lukey. All right, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up the show, Drew. Let's wrap up the show, Drew. Am I crazy for thinking that? 118?
I'm gonna be honest. Why are we even bringing up Bam versus Inoue? They're 10 pounds apart. Inoue destroyed Bam Rodriguez anyway. So why is
Inoue fighting at featherweight now, or he's fighting at 122? He fought your guy,
No, he's fighting at 115. He is no position to fight Inoue. That would be a fucking suicide for Bam to do that because Inoue will destroy him, and it will make it look easy too. Why are we even bringing it up?
I'm bringing it up because I think he comfortably moves up to 118 by the time he's 25 or 26 years old, which is essentially when a fighter hits their peak, really is like peak. He's not even at his peak. I think he ends up dominating 115, moves up to 118 in a couple of years. And before you know it, maybe he's within reach of a fading Inoue. Fading Inoue, potentially.
Dave, we got the best heavyweight card in a while. We need to talk about that real quick.
All right, let's talk about it real quick because I do need to get off the air. Shout out to everybody joining us. We have the roundtable on Wednesday. Shout out to D Stout joining us. Drew, this is a hell of a card. And one that, in fact, I think we should probably do a full episode or a Thursday or Wednesday night recap about this fight card because it takes place Saturday in Saudi Arabia. Day of Reckoning. Who's not fighting? Wow. Deontay Wilder, the return of the great American heavyweight former champion Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Dimitri Bivol. It goes on and on. It's light heavyweights and heavyweights, Drew. What are you most looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the heavyweight. Dave, I think we might do this show at like 8 o'clock on fucking Thursday night. Maybe do an early show or something, man.
Yeah, there's way too many fights to cover. You got guys like even Frank Sanchez.
Here, Dave.
Frank Sanchez? The card is stacked indeed. I'm looking at this Opataya that I said just was stripped of his title against Zorro, who's a massive underdog. But just the fact that they even have the cruiserweight champion, IBF champion, Opataya, who's now been stripped. Wow. Wilder Parker, Joshua Wallen. There's too many to call. You gonna watch the whole card?
I'm gonna actually watch the whole card because I'll be honest with you, it's a stacked card. There's like Okatai's is being stripped because he wants to take a 7-figure payday. You can't blame the dude, even though. And then, like, guys, I'm gonna be honest. I think we need to have more people call in on this show and everything for that one. Like I really, that's what I think we need to do.
All right, well, let's do this. Let's figure out a time because next Monday, you just mentioned is Christmas. It's also the 49ers. We don't typically do. It's impossible. I think it's going to be impossible for me to do a show next Monday, considering at first the 49ers are playing the top-rated AFC team, and my family's coming into town. So, Drew, I think you're right. Let's do a special show this week, Day of Reckoning. We'll elaborate on all these cards, and then we'll give our picks. And this is one that most people, if you have the opportunity to gamble and to do parlays, this one's probably going to have some sick parlay offers on the betting websites, Drew.
Yeah, it will. It's going to be a lot of fucking bets you can make on this on a parlay.
Right. And shout out to my boy. I haven't seen Off the Ropes Boxing and MMA in a minute. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to wrap up this show. Wednesday, Drew, let's get back. We're going to do tailgate talk Wednesday evening, and then we'll figure out some more in-depth analysis about this tremendous Saturday, Day of Reckoning. To be honest, the end of December, it turns out, looking back, we've got to do a best of by the end of the year, a best of 2023. I think it was a great year for boxing overall. A lot of weird shit is happening. We've talked about the demise. We had Lukey on today. By the way, nobody even tried to guess this one. I'm going to do it one more time. You guys see my Instagram account. It's right there at shoeshine_boxing. One last time. DM me your answer and I will send you this book for Christmas, okay? I'm giving away this book today, all right? Signed by Lukey here. Rayo Valenzuela had a potential knockout of the year, and I said that it instantly reminded me of Paul Williams getting knocked out by Sergio Martinez. The trivia question is, all right, and send me the answer at shoeshine_boxing. In which fight did Sergio Martinez knock out Paul Williams face first? On what network did that fight happen? All right, that's it. What fight? What network? What else did that? That was a 3-part question, right, Drew? Do you remember?
I think no.
And what city?
Remember.
And what city? That's right. Which fight did he knock out Paul Williams? What city? And on what network? DM me at shoeshine_boxing, and I will send you this book. I'm Dave in the 702. Drew, I'm sorry about the Eagles. We will cover that this Wednesday.
It's okay, Dave. You know, people want to say shit. People want to talk shit in chat. People want to say some bullshit in chat. But, you know, it is what it is, man.
You know what? When I see you in the NFC championships, we could both say we had a 3-game losing streak, and here we are.
You want to know something, Dave?
Cowboys
at
lost.
At least I can acknowledge somebody in chat and everything.
Well, at least the Cowboys lost, and you're still first place, man. All right, guys, we'll see you. We'll see you this week. Make sure you are subscribed and hit the notifications we'll do Tailgate Talk, Football Talk, and another Shoe Shine episode for Day of Reckoning. Drew, I'll see you later, man. Peace out, everybody.
Shout out to Beeb.